Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my podcast. This is Arun Gala. My podcast is called Grabbing Coffee with Arun, Arun, where I talk to everyday people that are doing very interesting things. Today, I'm honored to have the former mayor of Houston, Annise Parker. Mayor Parker, just to start off with, how did you get into politics?
That one's easy. I volunteered for other people's campaigns, but the longer answer is that I watched my parents
Mm-hmm.
volunteer for candidates, and I was deeply impressed with their commitment to the importance of voting. And for your listeners who are old enough and can remember as I do, I remember going to the polling places with my parents and grandparents.
Right.
And that was when you went into a booth and you pulled the big red lever and the curtains closed behind you. And there was weight and symbolism and, waiting in line with
Mm-hmm.
other people to get in there. And uh, that it felt like something important. And then volunteering for other people's campaigns, I saw um, you know, how you put a campaign together, how you get it done. But it was never my intention to run for office. I spent 20 years in the workforce here in Houston
Mm-hmm.
before I ever did that.
Oh, what kind of work did you do before you were mayor? Or
I worked for two oil companies. I only had two jobs. I
mm-hmm.
spent 2 years at a company called Texas Gulf Oil and Gas, and
Mm-hmm.
then 18 years working for Mossbacker Energy Company. When I graduated college in the late 1970s, uh, uh, oil and energy was 80% of the Houston economy. So that's what you did. You went to work for an oil company if you had a job. And I accidentally
Mm-hmm.
got involved in the early introduction of desktop computers.
Oh yeah, I remember
And
that.
I was a desktop computer jockey. I was sort of the IT department at Mossbacher Energy for all those years. I was in the room with the door shut, working on the only desktop computer in the company, uh, doing uh, software specific to the petroleum industry.
Right, right. I guess you were the only mayor that was on city council, and then you were a controller, and you became mayor, right? Or was there somebody else?
Yes. Now I believe there's been another controller
Hmm.
to become mayor. That was Kathy Whitmire. And I believe there's been at least one other council member to become mayor. I think Louis Welch was a council member. There may have been others, but I am definitely the only one who was a council member, controller, and mayor.
Yeah. What were some your highlights when you were mayor of Houston?
It's a great political job. It's also a very uh, intense political job because you live with
Mm-hmm.
it 24/7 and you're with your constituents 24/7. I laugh when I talk to people who are in Congress or in the state house here in Texas. You leave your constituents, but when you're a mayor or a council member for that matter, you're with your constituents all the time. You run into them in the grocery store. You run into them when you're pumping gas. But the best parts of the job and the reason that I love local government so much is that you can
Mm-hmm.
make things happen.
Right.
It's very operational. Uh, Federal and state government is about policy. Local
Mm-hmm.
government is about executing operationally. Making sure the trash gets picked up, making sure the traffic lights are repaired and the potholes are fixed. And there's a very immediate feedback loop. Now,
Mm-hmm.
my favorite things from my time as mayor are the the big expansion of parks and green space
Mm-hmm.
that we did. We launched the Bio Greenways initiatives. That's all those hike and bike trails along the bios when I was mayor. We
Right.
did the overhaul of Buffalo Bio Park, Buffalo Bio just outside of downtown. And we did we began the overhaul of Memorial Park also. And so we did a whole lot of other things, but that Parks and Green Space work, that's the thing I see and really hear how much people love.
Yeah, because I'm visually impaired, and I go to a group called Catapult, and we go running at Memorial Park, so I can see where it's changed over the years. And
Hmm.
there's a lot of people that don't even know it's there. You know what I mean? So, anyway, what were some of your challenges, you think, in managing a big city like Houston?
Well, there's not any government anywhere that I believe has all of the resources they
Right.
need to make things happen. Uh, it's also a uh, it's a big, diverse city
Mm-hmm.
with a lot of needs. But finally, the challenge is that a lot of times the needs compete, and that they're winners and losers. If you want to expand a road,
Mm-hmm.
then the property owners on each side are going to lose some of their property. Now, governments have to pay for that when we eminent domain something, but it has an impact. Or you change a policy, you regulate an industry that has an impact, and so you spend a lot of time balancing competing needs.
Yeah. Um, Mayor Parker, what do you think about, like, the politics is so polarized now? I mean, do you have any desires to, like, go on national, or because we need some leaders in the national level?
Well, I mean, I am running for county judge right
Right,
now.
right.
I'm not going to say that's I'm running up, but I'm running over.
Mm-hmm.
But and I'm a Democrat. I have been an active Democrat all my adult life. I'm a
Right.
former Democratic precinct chair. I'm a member of multiple Democratic organizations. But local government, for the most part, is very non-political. It is
Mm-hmm.
operational, whether it's the city or the county. There are a few things that you can get partisan divides on,
Mm-hmm.
but for the most part, it's like trying to figure out how to get the work done uh, with the resources that you have. And while everyone knows what the partisan affiliation is of council members, it it doesn't show in their votes. I mean, you can't track them through their votes the way you can if they're in Austin or Washington. What I'm more concerned about on the national level, though, is
Mm-hmm.
the way Donald Trump has upended what is considered appropriate political behavior.
Mm-hmm.
That he is a coarse, boorish, ugly man politically,
Mm-hmm.
and he has normalized personal public attacks and a style of politics and a style of campaigning that is detrimental, I think, to the overall process. And the other thing I'm worried about is that generally,
Mm-hmm.
when you come in, you build on what the previous administration did, whether
Like
it
them or
didn't
not?
happen for
Yeah.
me, whether you like them or not, but it didn't happen for me because I was replacing, term limited public officials.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't, beat somebody in a head to head race, but generally, you don't try to undo what the previous administration did, unless there's something that, is fraudulent or completely inappropriate. But you may go in a different direction, but you don't try to dismantle, you're continuing to build. Now, it's a little bit different in the partisan world that we're talking about, but uh, what I see happening now with Trump basically having an enemies list and going after his enemies, that's again not the way a government
Right.
generally has worked.
But what what I don't like is like we got into a point where people don't even talk about politics anymore. You know, it's like they avoid the question or they avoid their opinions and stuff like that. There's no
Well,
dialogue anymore.
because there's
People are scared almost.
well, yeah, there's a really rabid folks on both ends of the political spectrum.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't have anything particularly nice to say about Donald Trump as a human. I think he's a miserable excuse for a human being, but he has been very, very effective in certain things. He came in and strategically packed the Supreme Court. Uh, for example, he and he has, with this second administration
Mhm.
uh, bringing in Doge, he has uh, really, slashed spending at the
Mhm.
federal level. Now, I think he did it in a stupid way. I think he, with a with a meat axe and a bandsaw
And a
or a
chainsaw. Yeah.
chainsaw rather than than a scalpel. But um, clearly, there any big bureaucracy over time, you accrete things
Yeah. There's a way to bring it down, I guess, to more
yeah,
effective.
you used to work for the city. Um, Now I came in 2009. I was elected in 2009, came in 2010, and we were in the midst of the mortgage crisis. And I had to cut the city budget. The revenue wasn't there.
Hmm.
I laid off 776 city employees in my second year as mayor. It was a hard and painful decision, but I tried to do it as surgically as possible. I tried to do it in a way that gave some dignity to the employees who were laid off, and but also do it in a way that it didn't hurt the departments. And what he did when he came in was he just like wailing away at everything rather than really thinking, what is it that we have to execute on, and what are the people we need to do that with. Now, I didn't touch public safety
Hmm.
because, again, that is a core function of the government. But you know, you have to be able to make hard decisions, but you ought to be able to make them thoughtfully.
In your opinion, Mayor Parker, do you think the city is ready for another Harvey
No one
session?
is anywhere in the world is ready for another Harvey.
Hmm.
I'm going to say that very clearly. Harvey was an immense, horrific storm,
Right.
and hopefully we never see another one. The largest rain event in American history. There's a area to the east that got something like 70 inches of rain over
Hmm.
that 3-day period where Harvey just sat on top of us. And you can't prepare for that. You can only endure it and try to recover afterwards. Now, do we have to constantly upgrade our ability to respond to predict storms and respond to storms? Absolutely. And I think we've done a lot of things post Harvey to be better prepared for new storms. But going back to the federal government, the so-called you big beautiful bill and Trump's promises, he vowed to do away with FEMA. FEMA has been a critical partner
Right.
for decades in the recovery after a major storm event. Doge slashed employees at the National Weather Service. We depend on weather forecasters to help us know exactly where the storm is going to go and how to
Right.
pre-position equipment. My belief is that local government, as he's so thoughtlessly dismantled the federal apparatus, the local governments, local communities are going to have to wire around that and do our own work. In fact, the paper this morning, Chief Nim Kidd, who's the state's emergency manager,
Hmm.
was talking about the need for state-based weather forecasters. Well, the same thing happens at the county level. We are going to have to um, do a whole lot of work to make
Hmm.
sure that we know where the storm is going, where it's hitting the hardest, where we have to evacuate people. And we're not going to have a partner any longer at the federal level, which is a little horrifying. Um, Now, but it's not just the government. As someone who grew up in Houston
Hmm.
and has lived here and seen the storms, as we've developed, but the storms have also gotten worse. And citizens have a responsibility in a storm too. It's not about
Right.
government keeping us safe. It's about government warning us
Hmm.
and keeping us informed. And then we have to do what we have to do to be safe in the moment. And I remember sitting in the Houston Emergency Center over on North Shepherd,
Hmm.
and I did not have a hurricane while I was mayor, but I had several major floods and ice storms and things like that. And there's cameras monitoring a bunch of underpasses. Some places we have automatic gates. When the water starts to fill an underpass, the gate will drop down. Other places we just have uh, uh, the flood gauges.
Hmm.
To anyone who's listening, those big yellow ruler looking things
Hmm.
next to the underpass with numbers marked on them that tell you how deep the water is inside. And I actually like looking at the monitors because of where we had barriers come down, automatic barriers come down, and watching cars drive around those
Yeah, people
barriers
don't
and
pay
right
attention, I
into.
guess.
Yeah, well, they just, oh no, I can get through or whatever. And then we put our first responders at risk, hauling them out of their flooded vehicles. And then when the water finally recedes, that car is stuck there. And until it's towed, we can't, traffic can't
Hmm.
can't proceed. Uh, the street grid in Houston is part of our flood management system. We are built on the flat coastal prairie, and very different situation than what happened in central Texas with the flooding, which followed the water courses.
Right.
Ours is like it like water falling onto a pool table. It just kind of runs in all directions. The street grid is designed to hold water and feed it into our underground storm sewers and the bios. But so when you're driving and the street you're on starts to fill up with water, pull over and wait.
Right.
Pull over and wait. But people don't do that. And
Yeah.
again, then they end up with a destroyed vehicle, but the city ends up with further problems. We all have responsibilities, and I hope we are deep in hurricane season right now. I hope everybody who's listening to you
Mm.
has a go bag and knows what to do if they have
Yeah,
an
have some kind of a
evacuation
plan, I
order.
guess. Yeah.
Yeah, have a plan.
Yeah. Mayor Parker, as a disabled individual, um, I'm really honored that the city gave me an opportunity to work, you know, and it is a good place to work for especially people that are disabled, because it gives you a chance for advancement. And it gave me, I have a degree in accounting and I worked there a good 20 years or so. And um, I really enjoyed the time that I worked there, because it was nice that even though with my visual impairment, I was able to work as a regular employee. Um, I'm still hoping that's going to continue with the city and local
Yeah, the
government.
the I absolutely believe that the city is going to continue those, very both proactive and positive policies of being a hirer, someone who hires an employer that gives opportunity. Is not only to people with uh, disabilities, but
Hmm.
also to folks who may be coming out of incarceration,
Hmm.
for example.
I didn't think about
Um,
that.
the a lot of our like our work crews, our outdoor crews,
Hmm.
people in solid waste. They've done their time. They've paid their debt to society. They've turned their lives around. We don't discriminate.
Mm-hmm.
When they're ready to work, we're ready to hire them, and that's we uh, and they've made some of our um, you know best and most loyal employees. So yes, anyone who uh, wants I was going to say wants a good job and some stability. But again, what's happening at the federal level with the things that Doge did, I think
Mm-hmm.
has soured a lot of people on wanting to work in government.
Right.
But again, at the local level, it is very operational. It requires human beings. I know there's a lot of talk about AI
Right.
replacing jobs, and there's no question that AI will, and that
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of jobs that AI, even at the city level, may ultimately take over. But we still need people to answer phones. We still need people to pick up the trash. We still need people to shelve books at the libraries. We still need people to fill potholes. Uh, the technology has changed in all of those jobs, but we still need that human interface.
Yeah, I'm excited that you're running for county judge. I guess we'll see what happens. Right.
Yeah, this is my first foray as a candidate
Mm-hmm.
into uh, partisan politics, but it is my 12th time on a ballot. So I know how to be a candidate, and I'm learning how to be a candidate in a partisan primary, which is a little bit different. And it is, it's a very big city, but it is a really large county. And I'm getting to see, I'm learning my way uh, into new areas.
Yeah, I don't know why it's called county judge. That title just seems kind of
It's a little disingenuous.
right.
Any other state, it's county executive is generally what they're called. But here we have to call them county judge, but it's county executive. Uh, and all the counties in Texas, whether they're big counties or counties with just a few hundred people in them, which we do have a few, they all have the same governance structure. It's one county judge and four commissioners.
Right. Right. Yeah. What else do you want to tell my listeners or that we didn't cover?
Well, I do encourage them to pay attention to politics and get involved and to vote for the candidates of their choice. It is it's a right, it's a responsibility,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also how we shape the democracy in which we live, and whether you like things that are going on or not. If you don't like the way things are going, you need to get involved, and if you do, you need to get involved. The other thing I'll say is that when you get up in the morning and you
Mm-hmm.
flip on the lights, you go to the bathroom, you flush, you run some water in the sink.
Mm-hmm.
You need to thank generally a local government employee.
Mm-hmm.
When you get in your car and you drive to work, and if the traffic signals are all working and you don't hit
Right.
too many potholes, and you notice that your trash is picked up, you need to thank a local government employee. You only notice a city when something goes wrong. When it functions well,
Right.
it's transparent. Thank a government employee, and thank
Yeah.
you, Aaron.
Yeah. And I think about when I think about traffic, I think about why isn't the government doing something about it? You know what I
Well, but
mean?
going back to the storm, when I was talking about storms, the it's a responsibility. I learned early on when I was a council member, people will hit a pothole every day for a week, and every time they hit that pothole, they'll say, "Darn the city of Houston." They probably say something stronger, but darn the city of Houston, why can't they fix this pothole? There are more than 6,000 miles of roads in the city of
Right.
Houston. How are we supposed to know that pothole's there if no one reports it? So
But
again, there's a responsibility on both sides to be engaged.
But do you remember when built West Park, the toll road was built? They were gonna not. I mean, once it was paid off, they were gonna get rid of the tolls, right?
That's a county function, but
Right.
yes, um,
That never
I
happened, I guess.
think uh, well, they use the tolls
Mm-hmm.
for the creation of new toll roads and other
Right.
types of roads. And so they just keep rolling it forward. I think we need to be very careful as
Mhm.
public officials when we go to the voters and say we're going to do things, then we do it. And, you know, that's always been my policy. And you know, don't say we're going to do away with the tolls when it's paid off, and
Right.
then
Not
change
do it.
and then change it later.
Mayor Parker, I was just extremely nervous in talking with you, but you're just as cool and calm, and I guess it comes with a lot of practice.
It does come with a lot of practice. But happy to visit with you, Aaron,
Yeah, it was
and
an honor. Thank you very much for your time. I know you're busy, and good luck with what you're doing. And if you guys want to reach me, my email is grabbingcoffeewitharun, ARUN at gmail.com. Thank you
all
again, and
right.
it was an honor, Mayor Parker.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.